Kia ora, good evening. Southland could still see economic benefits from the rebuild of Canterbury following the devastating quake of February 2011. An initiative was launched last year to get businesses in the south involved, but the rebuild has been slow moving. Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive Peter Townsend was in Invercargill last night, encouraging local businesses to help. Sarah Bedford spoke to him about the role the region could play.
We're dealing with a $40 billion plus rebuild, a scale that is unimaginable, the greatest ever economic development program this country has ever seen, and anyone who wants to take advantage of that opportunity is welcome to be involved. There's room enough for everybody.
What do you think Southland businesses could be doing in terms of that rebuild?
Well, the Southland businesses have huge capability in terms of manufacturing, steel fabrication, service industries, so it covers the whole gambit. Anyone that wants to assist in the rebuild, to assist us to rebuild and build scale, we're advising to collaborate with Christchurch-based companies, provide the scale, the local company unlocks the key to the opportunity, and away we go.
That rebuild has been slow to start off. Do you think that's dampening down interest in other parts of the country, such as Southland?
Yeah, it's taken a long time, and that delay has been a combination of seismic activity, land stability and insurance payouts, but I can assure you that right now, it's starting to crank up. Our regional economy is growing at 7.5%. We have 2% lower unemployment than the rest of New Zealand. We're pouring more cubic metres of ready-mix concrete than Greater Auckland, and we're away. So over the next 6 to 9 months, there are opportunities there, and they have been a long time coming because of the ongoing seismic activity. But every economic indicator now will tell you that the time is now to start planning an involvement in the rebuild of Christchurch.
When do you think we could see Southland actually getting involved?
Southland's already involved. There are several companies down here that have formed collaborative relationships with Christchurch-based companies. They are leading the way, others will follow. One of the issues we have is that there is still capacity in Christchurch right now with Christchurch-based companies in many areas of our economy. That's changing really quickly. My pick is that 6 to 9 months there's going to be no capacity left, and people are going to have to rely on companies outside Christchurch to provide the scale that we need to effect the rebuild.
How would you describe the mood among the business community in Canterbury at the moment?
Oh, very positive. I mean, we've been to hell and back with the earthquakes, but now is the time for realising opportunities. We have $40 billion plus locked into our rebuild. Companies that have adopted new business models and have discovered that we're going to a new place, we're not going back to where we came from, are doing really, really well, and they will continue to do so. The important thing to remember is that this economic activity that we're talking about in Christchurch is locked in for the next 10 to 15 years. So anyone that wants to make a commitment can almost guarantee that they can be locked into to that sort of activity for the next 10 to 15 years. And we've seen models and companies all over the South Island and the North Island who have combined with Canterbury-based companies right now and are doing very, very well, helping those Canterbury companies to build capacity.
4 people were fined and 1,200 were warned after being caught freedom camping in the Te Anau Manapori area over summer. Historically, freedom camping was a huge issue in the area, and to combat the problem, a combined project was launched by Southland District Council and the Department of Conservation last year. That program saw rangers monitoring over summer and educating people about where they can camp. Southland District Council Compliance Officer Angela Halliday says there has been fewer problems this summer and complaints to Council have dropped. DOC and Council will have an end-of-season meeting to discuss the future of the project. Mixed member proportional, or MMP, New Zealand's current voting system looks set to stay, with political parties unable to reach consensus despite the Electoral Commission's recommendations of a review. Justice Minister Judith Collins has announced there will be no legislative modifications made to MMP ahead of the 2014 election. In 2011, voters opted to keep MMP during a referendum, prompting an independent review of the system by the Electoral Commission. 2 key changes were recommended, including abolishing the single-seat threshold and lowering the threshold for parties to gain list seats from 5% to 4%. MMP was introduced in 1993, replacing the traditional voting system of first past the post. Around 200 Southland dairy farmers converged on the Ascot Park Hotel today to hear a range of speakers, including experts, motivators and innovators, at a one-day seminar. Practical knowledge was the theme of Dairy NZ's 2013 Farmers Forum, one of 5 being held around the country. Topics included science and technology, plus challenges and opportunities for Southland's dairy sector. New Zealand currently exports more than 90% of its milk products, with China the biggest market, but European countries may soon want a share of that market. In 2015, lifting of the existing European Union quotas will bring added competition to the global market, but it's not known what the impact will be.
Very difficult to say at this stage. We know the Irish have real aspirations when quotas come off in April 2015 to export a lot more of their product to China. The infrastructure that they have there means that it'll take them time to ramp up. You've got a social structure around farms there where they're very small, and it's difficult to purchase new land at the moment. So they've got some growing pains they would have to suffer and endure to get there. But nonetheless, we've got to be on our toes, and we have to make sure that we really keep driving to be more competitive and make sure we're profitable in a sustainable sense, so that any emerging threats in our markets, we can deal with them.
Would you say that Ireland would be the biggest potential threat?
Well, right now the US continues to be the big threat in terms of when they breathe in and breathe out, they can put a lot of product onto the market. And some of their very large farms are very cost effective. Some of the smaller farms in the northeast and so on are very inefficient, but the reality is it's where the most efficient producers are in that country where we should be worried, because they can ramp up and produce more product. So the US is still the biggest threat right now, but absolutely countries in the EU, when quotas come off, are definitely going to be seen to be a threat.
After the break, 8 Southland athletes prepare to represent New Zealand. Welcome back. Māori accounted for around a fifth of the 522 suicides in New Zealand in 2010. Kia Piki Te Ora, a national Māori suicide prevention program, will hold its national hui in Bluff next week to discuss strategies and initiatives to prevent suicide. Sarah Bedford spoke to Ngā Kete Mātauranga Pounamu Māori health promoter Leoma Tawaroa about the issue.
Across all populations in 2010, the Ministry released some data, and our DHB region had significantly high numbers of suicide rates. So it continues to be of growing concern and an issue for Southland.
In terms of a challenge, how much of a challenge is it bringing that rate down here in Southland?
I guess the biggest challenge is that we need to speak about this issue. It continues to be a silent topic that no one wants to talk about, and I guess part of this hui and this national conference is that we start to grow some awareness in our communities around the issue, which is really, really important and a big step for our community to take.
So you want people talking about it. What do people need to be talking about specifically, do you think?
Well, I think a sense of community is something that we need to grow, and just talking about the fact that there's people in our community that need a little bit extra support, and how we can maybe wrap around and support them in times of need, and yeah, just a growing awareness, I think, and talking about suicide, but in the context of community where it's relevant for them.
Now, in terms of the issue, is it a new issue or it's something that's been an ongoing problem?
I don't think it's a new issue. It's definitely been an ongoing problem, but it continues to be increasing, which is the concern. So nationally, there are action plans and ministry strategic plans that will look at how we can possibly, stop this increasing, and as a nation, address suicide and some really good positive prevention strategies to be put in place.
Now, for Māori, why do you think that rate is so high?
That's a really hard question. It's a complex issue, and there's heaps of reasons why people may decide to take their own life. I couldn't possibly say exactly what that would be, but there is evidence to show that cultural alienation, loss of language, those types of things, educational achievement also has a role to play in some of the reasons and some of the factors why suicide does occur within our Māori population.
Now, in terms of next steps after this hui, what are you hoping it will achieve here in Southland?
Well, I really want to grow a stronger support network here in Southland, made up of community, professionals and the sector, so that, like I said earlier, we can grow a greater awareness and we can collectively work together to address the issue.
A record high has been reached in public satisfaction of police service delivery. According to an independent satisfaction survey by New Zealand Police, satisfaction with police service delivery was 87% in April, contributing to an overall satisfaction rating of 83%, up 1% for the year to date. The results show the overall satisfaction rating currently tracking 11 points higher than the average of other public sector organisations in New Zealand. The survey is conducted throughout the year and is used to monitor how public regard police and the quality of service. 8 Southland athletes will be among a squad of 60 representing New Zealand at the Oceania Area Championships in 3 weeks' time. The athletes range in age from 15 to 22 and will compete at the championships in Tahiti in early June. Athletics coach Lance Smith coaches 4 of the athletes and says Southland's doing well in terms of the number of national representatives coming from a small community. Events include steeplechase and the 1500 metre run. Among those competing, 17-year-old Sean Pay, who's looking forward to representing New Zealand in triple jump and long jump at his first international event.
I'm really excited. It's my first international meet and I'm just excited to experience it all, really.
How much work has gone in for you?
It's been a very long process. Since my first international meet, I've been training since year 9 and it's just all paid off now. It's really good.
Now, in terms of how well Southland is doing in terms of having young athletics representatives, what do you think the secret is for that?
Definitely my coach Lance Smith. He puts a lot of work into us Southland athletes and he really brings us to the best that we are. So
in terms of the upcoming games, how are you hoping to do? Do you have a goal in mind?
I'm first of all just stoked to go, but I'm kind of hoping to get into the top 5 of my age group and go from there, really.
And best of luck to them. Coming up in sport, the Sharks claim victory over the Pistons in the NBL. That's after the weather next. From the news team, good night.